Picture what you think an ancient human looked like. Big, muscular, built like a professional strongman, carrying a club the size of a tree trunk. Now picture the kind of person who goes to the gym 5 days a week, tracks their macros, times their protein, sleeps 8 hours, and takes recovery seriously. You probably assume that person would have been extraordinary in the ancient world. Untouchable. A physical specimen like nothing they'd ever seen. A 2017 study compared the bones of ancient hunter-gatherers to modern humans. The ancient skeletons were significantly denser. The muscle attachment points so prominent that researchers initially thought they were looking at a different species. They were not. They were just people who never stopped moving. So what does 300,000 years of that actually do to a human body? And why can't we replicate it no matter how many sessions we put in? First, the thing everyone gets wrong. Ancient humans were not especially powerful in the way we usually mean. A chimpanzee is roughly 3 times stronger than an adult human, pound for pound. Ancient humans were significantly stronger than modern humans, but they were not the mythological physical specimens popular culture imagines. A modern competitive strongman would almost certainly outperform one in a raw strength test. What the bones actually show is something different from strength. Cortical bone density, significantly higher than modern populations. Muscle attachment points, called entheses, dramatically more pronounced than in modern skeletons. Wear patterns indicating sustained, high-load, daily physical activity across entire lifetimes. Not intense, brief bouts of effort. Daily. Unavoidable. Forever. The Hadza of Tanzania, one of the most studied remaining hunter-gatherer groups, walk an average of 10 to 14 kilometers per day. They carry heavy loads without equipment. They dig, climb, lift, throw, and butcher large animals with hand tools. Not as exercise, as survival. Every day, without rest days, for their entire adult lives. On paper, a species with no gym, no protein supplements, no planned recovery, no rest days, should not produce bodies more physically robust than modern elite athletes. But the skeletons say otherwise. Every bone in a prehistoric hunter-gatherer's body was denser, more developed, and more load-adapted than its equivalent in a modern human. Not because they tried to build that body, because they never stopped using it. Bone density is driven by one thing above everything else: mechanical loading. Bone responds directly to the forces placed on it throughout life. More loading, denser bone. Less loading, thinner bone. This is called Wolff's Law, established by anatomist Julius Wolff in 1892. It is still the foundation of bone physiology today. An ancient hunter-gatherer who walked 10 to 14 kilometers per day, carrying loads, climbing, digging, butchering, was subjecting their skeleton to continuous mechanical loading from childhood through death. Modern humans have dramatically reduced this loading. The result, visible in the fossil record, is thinner bones across almost every measure. Picture a Hadza hunter. By the time the sun is high, he has walked 8 kilometers, climbed 2 trees, carried a carcass weighing roughly half his body weight for 3 kilometers, and dug out a termite mound with a stick. He does this not because he's training. He does this because if he doesn't, nobody eats. That sustained, daily, unavoidable load across every single day of his life from childhood is what produces bone density that modern researchers look at twice. It isn't training, it's just life, experienced at full force. They didn't build strong bones, they built bones that were strong enough to survive the life they were living. And that turned out to be the same thing. Stable isotope analysis of prehistoric human bones reveals diets extraordinarily high in animal protein, typically 50 to 70% of caloric intake from animal sources. But here's what people miss. The parts of the animal ancient humans prioritized were not the lean muscle meat modern humans prefer. They were the fat, organ meat, bone marrow, brain tissue, visceral organs. A large animal's bone marrow is roughly 97% fat. It's one of the most calorie-dense foods available in nature. And ancient humans built tools specifically to get at it, smashing the thickest bones with stone flakes to reach what was sealed inside. Picture a group on the African savanna. They approach a carcass that lions and hyenas have already picked clean. What's left looks worthless. Nothing but bones. They don't leave. They pick up their tools and start smashing. What comes out is gray, slick, dense with fat. The caloric content per gram is higher than almost any plant food available anywhere in that landscape. They weren't eating what was left over. They were eating the most nutrient-dense food available. The marrow was the whole point. It's why they came. They ate what looked like scraps and built bodies that look like nothing we produce today. The human body is not built for explosive power. A lion hits 80 kilometers an hour. A chimpanzee is 3 times stronger pound for pound. A grizzly bear can kill a moose with a single blow. By raw strength and speed, we are unimpressive. But evolution gave humans something no other large predator has: the gluteus maximus. The largest muscle in your body is enormous compared to other primates. Not because we sit a lot, because we run. It's a running muscle. We evolved it for exactly this. We can breathe independently of our stride rhythm, unlike most quadrupeds who have to breathe in sync with their gait. We can sweat from almost our entire body surface simultaneously, cooling ourselves while moving, which almost no other large mammal can do. A lion chasing you will overheat in 400 meters. A human jogging in 35-degree heat can continue indefinitely. Persistence hunting works like this. You find an animal. You don't sprint, you jog, just fast enough to keep it moving. Every time it tries to rest, you appear on the horizon again. It runs again, overheats again. After 5 hours, sometimes 8, the animal that can sprint at 80 kilometers an hour collapses from heat exhaustion, and you walk up and finish the job. Ancient humans weren't the strongest animal. They were the animal that could outlast anything alive. And in the end, that was the same as being the most dangerous. Bone density and physical robustness are primarily set during childhood. That's the window when bone tissue is most responsive to loading. Load it heavily during this period, and the architecture it builds is retained for the rest of a lifetime. In a hunter-gatherer childhood, that loading begins early. Children walk the same distances as adults by age 8 to 10. They carry loads relative to their size. They climb, dig, and participate in sustained physical work for most of their waking hours. Not as exercise, as membership in the group. The bone architecture set during this high-loading childhood is a physical foundation that no amount of adult training can fully rebuild, because the critical developmental window has already closed. Modern children, who spend the majority of their developmental years seated in school, at home, in cars, build a fundamentally different skeletal architecture, one that no gym can fully reverse. The window was open, and nothing heavy was put through it. The strongest thing about an ancient human body wasn't something they built. It was something they never lost, because their childhood never let them. Here's the part that changes the whole picture. Everything up to now suggests ancient humans were physically superior in every way. Denser bones, better diet, built for endurance, trained from birth. But that's not quite right. Where ancient human bodies genuinely exceeded anything modern is one specific place: grip strength. Research on ancient human forearm bones found attachment sites for grip muscles dramatically more developed than in modern humans, comparable in some specimens to chimpanzee-level grip strength. Not because ancient humans were doing curls, because every action of their daily life, the tools, the climbing, the carrying, the butchering, loaded those forearm muscles continuously, from childhood, without interruption. Their grip was extraordinary. Their bench press? Probably not remarkable. What an ancient human body excelled at was the sustained, functional, grip-intensive, endurance-demanding physical work of actually being alive. And it's that specific combination across a lifetime, with no days off, that produced bones so robust researchers had to check twice. The gym-going modern human is chasing a shadow of something that built itself by accident, through the simple, unstoppable pressure of having no other choice. You're back in that gym. Same weights, same tracking app, same 5-day split. And now you understand what that person is doing and what they're not doing. The gym is an attempt to recover something that the human body used to build automatically, unavoidably, through the daily demand of simply being alive. You can get close with enough discipline, enough specific knowledge, enough consistency, but you cannot replicate the childhood loading, the daily sustained movement with no rest days, the lifetime of grip-intensive tool use, the diet of fat and marrow that fueled all of it. What the gym produces is a version of physical capacity. What 300,000 years of hunter-gatherer life produced was the original. Ancient humans weren't stronger than you. They were harder than you. And the difference is that strength is what you build at a gym. Hardness is what happens when your body spends 300,000 years with no other choice.